to another episode of The American Entrepreneur, where we interview entrepreneurs all over the world, but as long as they're doing business in the United States, we want to hear their story. Maybe they went through something that they'd share with you guys that they find very valuable, and so you can apply to your own business, your own life, become successful. The guest we have today, I'm very excited. He's one of my, I worked with him last year. His name is Kevin Cornell, the two-time Arnold Classic Champion.
Right.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I'm excited to be on. So it's going to be a good one for sure.
I really appreciate it, man. You basically know the premise of, entrepreneurs have something to teach another entrepreneur, no matter what industry you're in. So Who are you? What got you into the world of entrepreneurship? Maybe something that you've learned along the way that can help the viewers out.
Yeah, man. So, I get asked pretty frequently, like, what I did to, get into everything. And it's a funny story. So I was a sponsored weightlifter. That's kind of how I got my whole following. And I was going to get my first ever car in South Carolina, right? So I didn't know anything. And this guy, he was like slick, but in a good way. He was a cool cat, smooth operator. So, so he, I forget his name, but he was talking about the dealership and everything, because it takes like 4 or 5 hours to get a car. You know what I mean? So I will say Tony for argument's sake. I said, Tony, what you said the owner's nice and the dealership is nice, but you can do it better. I said, because I genuinely had no idea. I said, what's the next step, man? What do you do? And he's like, he said it real smooth, but I'm not doing it justice. But he said something effective like, you open up your own shop, or you sell your own cars, or something like that. And I didn't know, like, that. For some reason that hit me. I was like, I was 23 years old at the time, and I could never see eye to eye with anybody, even my own dad. Like, his beliefs and my beliefs were so different, and I'm just like, is it me? Is it everybody else? And when he said that, it kind of stapled the fact that, like, maybe I wasn't supposed to work for somebody else. Not that I can't work with someone else, but don't work for somebody else. So when he said that, it just opened up a whole new door to a world I was never exposed to growing up in a working class family, if you will. Mm-hmm. And that's how I started. So I moved back home, worked for a gym, and it was always in the back of my mind. And the owner and I never saw eye to eye, and he just said, you know what, it's time to do my own thing, and that's what I did, man.
Did you start to notice that you were putting in so much effort, maybe even more than the people around you, and you weren't getting anything more for it? So was that another deterrent of, man, what am I doing this for if I'm not getting any? There's no gain.
Right. So the answer is yes, 100%. And even all the way back to like high school football, college baseball, I was always the first in the gym, last to leave, and I was still on a losing team. And I said, you know what? I don't want to put my faith into other people anymore. I've got to do something where it's just me, or it's me and I can create the surrounding, I can create my own surroundings. So that's how I got into weightlifting, which is more of an entrepreneurial sport, if you will. It's there's teams, but there's really no team aspect, because you're the only one that competes. And, that just...
Because ultimately, you're in charge of your success or your failure, right?
Absolutely, yeah. If I won, I want to be able to celebrate it, and if I lost, I want to be able to take responsibility. So, that's what it was.
Beautiful. Now, how did you start to take the weightlifting, going to the gym, and then try to monetize it, or try to build a brand, and when did that start, and maybe something that you learned right away that, okay, I'm on the wrong path?
Yeah, so to get to where I wanted to be in California, like, they had to know who I was. So I started using social media, Facebook, when it wasn't Facebook, you know what I mean? It was just kind of this thing that you did in college.
Exactly.
And you know what I mean? I think
let me see some pictures, right.
Right. And it was like MySpace was still around and things like that. So I used social media to kind of show off, if you will. And because I didn't know what I was doing, so I just post big lifts and like funny videos and stuff. And I caught the attention of a big time weightlifting team that sponsored guys and was like really revolutionary to what what they were doing. So that was like my first taste of, being your own self marketer, being your own self brand. So
Wow. Now,
that's how that
you
started.
do have quite a following on Instagram. So is that where it began, really, the videos
Uh,
and the
it
pictures?
was yeah, it was Facebook, and then I did YouTube, and Instagram was actually the last
Wow.
thing to go. So you know, I feel like being where I am and what I do, and being like a one man show, if you will, in a sense. It's I do take pride in it, but you always want more. You know what I mean? You always look, you try not to, but you always look at people around you like, man, what do they know that I don't? What can I do? You know
Exactly.
what I mean? So that's what it is.
It's
But
incredible that, and one of the reasons why I started doing this is, and it goes back to a year ago when I was in a part of a think tank where we had to
yeah,
teach each other something every week. And I started to realize no matter what industry you're in, it could be the smallest little detail. It could have something to do with social media. It could have something to do with maybe even branding of how you're, what works and what doesn't work. But the little things you pick up from other people around you, and,
yeah,
and what you do now, you surround yourself with the right mentality with social media, with the groups that you put together.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So it's unless you live somewhere like you're in the tech bubble and you're in like Southern California or something, or you're in gas and oil and you're in Texas or whatever that's hot right now, it's hard to find people who are like-minded, and you and I being from the same city, we've talked about this many of times where it's like, we're the A players, as I call it. And not to say that everybody who would be categorized as an A player, A plus player, isn't a good person, but it's just they're not right for the direction we're going in. You know what I mean? So what do you do? Where do you find that? And what I've realized is it's almost like dating, or it is like dating, or it's like finding a partner, a training partner for the gym. It's almost like you don't find them. You just go at it as best you can by yourself and grind and hustle. And the right people see that, and then they start to reach out to you and latch on. And that's kind of how I got my team, if you will. Now, the guys that own the gym that I train with, really good guys who I met through somebody who reached out to me because he saw me doing big things and grinding, and he's the same way. So that almost built itself. But if you need to find something and you can't find it, in your immediate surroundings, there's always a lot of good people on the internet, so much information, or books. Books are key to me. I love reading.
That was one of the things we talked about last year. I'm like, you got to read, you got to
Yeah,
read, you got to
yeah.
read.
Every week now, it's like
Yes,
I follow your book of the week, and
yes.
sometimes I'll pick apart like different books, and I'm on Rich Dad Poor Dad now, and that's like over my eyes
Yeah,
beyond
man,
belief. So,
that'll change your
you
life for
know,
sure.
oh yeah.
And some of the people that you've met that have actually contacted me, and
Hmm.
are you finding them all through? Is it the same mentality where you're just doing your thing, and then the law of attraction, you're bringing in the right people, they start asking you questions, you just learn to network, and you become very good at communicating yourself on video, maybe in images, and then even when they reach out to you and say, hey, how do I become successful? Is it something that is just it's naturally coming, or are you pushing really hard for it?
It's a little bit of both. I'd say 70-30 percent pushing just because you have to be out there. You know what I mean? It's almost like early bird gets a worm type thing. So if you wake up at noon, everything's going to be gone. So you do have to put yourself in the right place, and you have to be prepared. But that day-to-day grind that people see, even if, and I found this because I've done little like mini tests on it, experiments, if you will. People see it whether you think they do or not. And if you don't believe it, do an analytical search. Google Analytics tells you everything. I know who's on my site, looking at what and for how long, so you can see what people are doing. Clickbait, things like that. Where all of your audience is coming from, and they have for Instagram, YouTube. They have it for everything now. So if you don't think people are watching, find your analytical mark on all your social media accounts, and you can literally see like, wow, I know who this person is or that person is, or I'd never thought that person watched my video. So that's kind of a good like wake up call, like, wow, maybe people are really in tune with what I do, and that in turn will kind of like give you should I said that? Should I have done this? Maybe I should, revamp this a little bit better, instead of using like my little Canon photo that I did to take everything. Maybe I'll upgrade into a nicer one, a nice backdrop, things like that. So, really, it's a good thing when people are watching because sorry, hold on.
You got the dog there.
It's a good thing when people are watching because it pushes you to be better. You know what I mean?
For sure. And you're always trying to upgrade no matter what. You don't ever feel like you're stagnant. So you're always looking for the next move. Even if you're not financially set for it, you're always thinking about, okay, how can I make myself better? And I think that just applies to every part of your life then.
Well, and I mean, and that's one thing, about learning and about business. How do you invest in a company when you have no money? You know what I mean? And it comes down to one word: you got to be resourceful. Find somebody who will invest in for you. Or if you don't think you have somebody that you feel comfortable with using their money, find ways to, go get a nice camera at an auction or a yard sale. People are always trying to get rid of stuff because everyone always has too much stuff. So find things at that. Gary Vee's huge on that. So being resourceful is one of the biggest things that I've learned to need to be successful.
And that's I harp on that all the time. Where I was a sales rep for a company years ago, and I noticed that the more money you make as a sales rep, if you start to lack that whole, okay, I don't need to be as resourceful. But then you start throwing things away that you start throwing money away down the drain that you could be investing in other things. And I noticed that any entrepreneur out there, if they really come from nothing and they actually become successful, resourcefulness, and they never let that go. They value it for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, that's life. That's anything. You know what I mean? So. It's a lot of these principles. It's funny. Don't just go into business; they go into life. So, a lot of times you see, or I see, guys who are successful in business, successful in everything outside of it too. Money management, speaking with people, good relationships. A lot of the people who, have a wacky schedule or a bad, relationship with a lot of the people don't necessarily have the best business, or if they do, it doesn't hold out that long. You know what I mean? So
exactly. Now I've met a lot of people even through the American Entrepreneur video series here that they're in the fitness world. AJ Rivera, Corey Gladwell. There's a couple other different people out there. So I've always talked to you about a service side. Push more towards the service side because the profit margin's a little higher. Now I know that you still do coaching, you still do training, you still do all kinds of different service-related business. Can you tell me a little bit about that? In addition to, I see the apparel line, which looks pretty awesome. So
yeah. So you definitely always preach that, and you were right. And here's what I did, because I knew I had 100% faith in you, and you never steered me wrong. But I always wanted to become that brand, so I really had to think of how can I do both, right? So what I did was it's hustle for the muscle. So and to shorten it, H4M Apparel.
Okay. And that's H4Mapparel.com, or is it part of the other?
It's hustleforthemuscle.com, but everything like social media, everything that's quick, 15 second to a minute video is H4M. It's abbreviated. So
and that's
like
on
social
your
Instagram, Facebook, H4M podcast, all that stuff. So what I did was I took that brand, and clothing is like you said, it's a big investment up front, but I'm a guy who I can pedal real well. So I said, you know what? I don't like to sit back at the computer and try to sell. I like to go out, network, meet people. I'm in the position where right now I have to build the brand organically. So what does that mean? I have to go out and meet people. So what I did was I set up a meet and greet, which I have one coming up the end of this month where you pay $20. Yeah, you pay $20. I'll go to a gym, love like-minded people, and we'll have 2 hours. We'll hit 4 exercises. I do demo, then everyone goes. I demo, everyone goes, and then wouldn't you know it, there's H4M apparel for sale there. So you just the resourcefulness. That's a good way to get it out. Obviously, I'm going to be taking pictures with every single person in their shirts, and really put it out like, guys, if you don't have it, you need it. And then in turn, that will start to build a flow of, it's cool. It's a new thing to do. The logos are on point. I kind of redesigned the
I saw
saying a
that.
little bit.
Looks good. Looks good.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you. I found a good guy, a good designer. So, I'm very lucky in that. But yeah, you know, I use the clothing to bring people in, and not use it, but I have the clothing because that's something I wanted to do. That's a brand that can expand the business a little bit further than what I think just coaching would be able to, and that's just another means of income, and
For sure,
instead
another
of
revenue stream. I always thought it was just,
yeah,
and just to clarify, I know it was never like a bad business. It's just that as a
right,
startup, it's all
it's
you have
tough,
such few resources that you
right,
focus mainly on the main income stream, which is the service side. But obviously, branding is so. I mean, and you're good at branding, so it's a passion of yours. You can't let that die. It's just that
yeah.
I think it's another income stream which you should have more than one.
Right. So basically, what my flow is get the apparel out, have people wear the apparel. People think, wow, that's really cool. And then hustle for the muscle is very cheesy. But everybody laughs when I tell them. They smile. It's smile. Oh, hustle for the muscle. Okay. Even the guy at the post office, when I said, I got to ship this out, and he goes, okay, what's the company name? And I said, Hustle for the Muscle. And you can see him typing and like smiling. So that's a good thing, right?
Damn right.
So the apparel attracts them to the site, and then my credentials and the facade of the site gets them into the coaching, which is the service. So it's kind of like a jab, jab, right hook type thing.
Oh yeah, nice little Gary V reference, by the way.
So,
but yeah, guys, if you're out there, the guy lifts some monster weight. You have to
yeah.
see him. I mean, I go to the gym and I go, at night. I try to stay, healthy. But you're lifting some
Mike's
serious
jacked.
weight.
Don't let Mike play it down. This dude is jacked. Abs, veins, he's got it all, man. Don't let him play it down like that.
Thank you, but man, there's some scary weight that you lift there, so it's impressive.
Yeah,
all right, so what if there's one thing that you've learned along the way that you can just share with our audience? One thing, I know there's a lot, but what would you share with them?
I would say the biggest mistake that I made, and the first time around when I did this first time, and then now that I do, and I see the ROI, return on investment, is extremely, extremely, extremely valuable. You need to learn to invest not only in the business but in yourself. So if both of those aren't growing, you're in trouble. If only one of those are growing, it's almost like in math, if you have two, you minus one, you have one. It's like in this, if you have two and you minus one, you have zero. So both need to be growing, and hopefully at the same rate. So your business needs to grow, but your business can't grow unless you grow. But you have to invest in both. You know what I mean? So,
right. You can't neglect one. You can't.
Right. Exactly. So like you said, investing in yourself with the books, the learning, ideologies, getting around like-minded people like yourself, and kind of talking and brainstorming and, having those aha moments type thing. So that will help you. And then you carry that into your business, and it'll help your business.
And I had a video with an interview with another guy the other day, and he talked about the law of the bamboo tree, where basically you keep watering a plant for so many years, and then you don't notice anything until one day it just starts to shoot up. And I'm noticing that with reading. When I really started to read, maybe you don't notice things right away, but then when you start going to networking events, you start talking to other people, you're like, wait a second, I got all this. This is in there.
Everyone's speaking the same language, and you understand it. Yeah. I love the principle of the bamboo. So basically what it is you plant the bamboo in the first 10 years, you don't see anything because it grows from the bottom. But then the next 6 weeks, it grows to be like 100 feet tall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and that principle really stuck, because Andy Frisella, owner of CEO of First Form, and he has the MFCEO podcast, he talks about that. And, it's because I feel like every entrepreneur is looking to grow and looking to grow rapidly. But the thing is, and you made a great point, and you've taught me this, you have to be able to grow at a sustainable rate. Now that might be different for each person, but you have to be able to handle the onslaught of new customers, of new business, and you said that, and you said it was almost like, I guess how I say in weightlifting, you don't want to go too fast or too slow, but you want to go controlled. And whatever controlled is to you is what you need to figure out, and it's different for everybody. So that was a good point that you taught me.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it's too much business will sink you. People don't understand that, but it could come and it can hurt you. So you just got to be ready for that.
Yeah.
Now, a book that you recommend to our viewers. I know that you're big into reading, so give me one. I always try to get a new book from every person I talk to now.
Oh man, one is hard. I don't know. Am
Last
I able
book
to
you
do
read.
three? Okay, last book.
Yeah, last book you read.
So right now is Rich Dad Poor Dad. The last book I read was, oh man, they all flow together. It was like an autobiography of somebody, so that doesn't really count. But it was a network marketing book by Robert Kiyosaki. The last two books were Robert Kiyosaki. I forget what it was. The business principles of the 21st century, where he talks about network marketing, and everything like that. So they're kind of contradictory. I'm confused a little bit. Where, in Rich Dad Poor Dad, he talks about the principles and like the ideology of how to think rich, how to think poor, and he talks a lot about investing in real estate. But then in the business 21st century, whatever, he talks a lot about network marketing. So because I like investing and things like that. So I'm trying to figure out, which angle he's going, his beliefs, but they're both really good books.
And probably comes down to just evolving. And then also, I think certain business models work really well for this person, but the other person over here, this business model works really well for them.
Yeah.
So network marketing, I never will harp on, because I've seen a lot of people make a lot of money in it, and I think a lot of people are doing a lot of good with it, especially the ones who are service related type businesses. So then in real estate, I know people who are extremely well at finding where there's a property that could really become something, and they can spot that, invest in it, become quite valuable with it. So
yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
So but all right, so ways for people to contact you. I know you have a ton of followers on Instagram, but Facebook, your podcast, I got to start listening to more of that, because I listened to the first few. I haven't listened to it in a while, but what exactly is it, and what do you guys talk about?
So basically it's training, but 2 years ago I'd have been all weightlifting. Now it's more business and life, and it's talking about what people don't talk about that will help you in the gym. So it's not really so much in the gym, it's everything outside the gym that'll help. You know what I mean? Because money's a big deal. I got flack a few months back about talking about money, and it's an important thing, and people took it the wrong way because everybody thinks greed, or people who want money are greedy, but they don't realize what it takes to make money. Money, it takes money to make money. You know what I mean? So we talk about finances. We talk about, how to, if you do want to be, successful in fitness or business, or you're an entrepreneur, what it actually takes to do that. And it's very eye opening, and it makes you think. Some things you like, some things you don't, but everything is true. So.
Nice. Okay. So how do they find it? What's the name, the website, all that? Is it all on the website?
Yeah, so it's just hustleforthemuscle.com. Everything on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram is H4M Apparel, so H4M Apparel. And then it's just Hustle for the Muscle podcast. But yeah, man, a lot of big things are in the works. So, and then if you want to reach out to me, it's hustleforthemuscle@gmail.com. And just get in contact with me then. New shirts come out next week. I'm excited.
Nice.
I got to get you one, man.
Yes,
so.
I'll wear it, man. I got to get one. So one last question for you, Kevin. I always talk about obituary. You've heard me harp on that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
How is Kevin Cornell going to be remembered?
So it's almost like an Arnold effect, where it's not really what I did, but it's the mindset that I had going into it. I want to be remembered as when I put my mind to something, I achieved it. And anybody that puts their mind to anything, it can make it happen. And I remember I saw it. It made sense to me. Arnold had a quote on Instagram where he said, "I wasn't really good at anything except when I put my mind to something, it got done." He's like, that's what I was that's what I was successful at, putting my mind to something and getting it done. And that's what people would remember me for. And it's like the focus thing, follow one course until successful. And that's, I really preach that now because I can be a little scatterbrained sometimes. So
Execution, man. I always think
yeah,
that everybody has these grand ideas. Everybody tries to do it for a month, maybe 2 months, but it takes a
right.
real devotion to execute it every day for years. So
Yeah, yeah.
good
And
stuff there, man.
can you stick out the hard times? Because there will be. It's dude for people like you and I, it's easy to get a job. You know what I mean? It's like everyone's like applying to get a job and do all this stuff, and it's like for you and I, like that's the scapegoat. Like, oh, let me go get a job real quick and then come back to it. So it's like, can you stick it out and fight through those hard times?
Exactly, man. And I always think that, I want to take the harder path, even how it sounds crazy.
Hmm.
I want
Right.
to have the ability to sit in any room and say, you know what? Nobody can beat me in the work ethic. Nobody can beat me. I wasn't given this. I didn't just, politics didn't get me into this job, or I didn't have a friend of a friend who got me this job. I want to be able to sit in a room and say, you know what? I have the skills, the resourcefulness, the creativeness, the drive to sit in this room and I can outwork any of you if need
Mm.
be. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I like that, man. I
So,
like that.
and your wife is a big supporter of you. So you have a good
Yeah.
one, man.
Yeah, man.
That's a
That's
big part of it,
huge,
I'm sure,
man.
right?
Having the support of a significant other, man, that's huge. Because going about it alone, your emotions get tied up, your thoughts get tied up. You don't have anyone to really bounce ideas off of, and somebody who knows you. If I come home all the time, what if we did this? And she'll be like, no, that's all shit. No,
That's it. Done.
yeah,
See,
no,
that's judge and
okay,
jury right there,
yeah.
right?
Whereas if it was me, I might have went ahead and did that, and then instead of one person saying no, 1,000 would have been like, no,
Yeah, and you
Oh,
need that, man. There's no doubt
yeah,
you need that.
yeah,
So, but thanks, Kevin. I really
yeah.
appreciate it, man. And let's yeah, I gotta get that shirt next week. You're gonna let me know, right?
Sir. Sir, yes, sir. Thank you. Thanks for having on me, man. Thanks for
Yeah,
having me on. So,
no problem, no problem. Hey guys, if you're out there, you're an entrepreneur, you have something to share with us. We want to hear you. Remember, guys, the American entrepreneur will always create more. Take care.